Hey guys, this is Dr. Hub. In case you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe for updates. Specific phobias. So these phobias are present in about 10% of the population. So it is 10% of the population. Next is what is the clinical features. Clinical features is there's marked anxiety about a particular object. So specific object. So there can be anxiety related to a specific object or the situation. And this includes the phobic stimulus. So that is a phobic stimulus is present, phobic stimulus, and this will last for greater than 6 months. Next, it usually develops in childhood and can develop after a traumatic event. So it can develop in childhood as well as the traumatic events. Next is there is avoidance behavior. There is presence of avoidance behavior. So how to treat this? The treatment here will be the behavioral therapy. So there is behavioral therapy, and this will include the exposure based. There will be systemic desensitization. And this is the TOC. TOC means the treatment of choice. That's a behavioral therapy. Next we have the short acting benzodiazepines. So it is a short acting BZP, that is the benzodiazepines. So behavioral therapy will be the treatment of choice, and the short acting benzodiazepines, they also can help acutely. So now let's look at some important phobias and its objects. So what is acarophobia? So there is a car here, acarophobia. So acarophobia means it is a small objects. Next is acrophobia. So acrophobia, this stands for the high places. High places is acrophobia. Next we look at the agoraphobia. Agoraphobia. So agoraphobia has a go here. So this stands for the open or crowded places. So leaving a familiar setting or home. So in terms of crowded places, so scared of crowded places. This is agoraphobia. Next we move on to the echmophobia. So echmophobia, it stands for pointed objects. So pointed objects is echophobia. So you can imagine this eye to be that of an arrow. So it is echophobia. Next is we move on to the allurophobia. So allurophobia. So allurophobia, it is refers to the fear of cats. Allurophobia. Now pain. Algophobia. So pain, you have all. So all pain, this is for the fear of pain, that is algophobia. Next is androphobia. So you have androgen. So androphobia is for fear of men. Then is astrophobia or the astropophobia. So astro, it refers to something like a star. So astrophobia or the astropophobia. So this means that the fear of the thunder as well as the lightning. Astropophobia is lightning, astrophobia. So it can be either one. Next is autophobia. Autophobia. Autophobia means being alone or at self. Auto means what is autopilot mode? It takes care of itself. So it is being alone. Fear of being alone. Then is bathophobia. So what is bathophobia? So bathophobia means the depth. Imagine you are swimming in a large pool, depth, with a great depth. So it is bathophobia is associated with depth. So this is very simple and most of you will already know it. It is the claustrophobia. It means the fear of the closed environment. So in case a patient has a severe claustrophobia, you try avoiding the MRI. Next is there is coprophobia. coprophobia. So co and prophobia, it refers to the excreta. Excreta. Next is the cyanophobia. Cyanophobia. So cyan is a color. So imagine a dog with this particular color. This means it is a fear of dogs. So cyanophobia. Next is we are looking at demophobia. Demophobia, we know demographics. It means it is a crowd. So this is with something to do with the crowds. So this is demophobia. Then we move on to the erythrophobia. So erythrophobia means blushing. Fear of blushing. Erythro means red, so it is fear of blushing. Next is gynophobia. Gyno means women, so it is fear of women. Next we look at the happyphobia. Happyphobia means being touched. Happyphobia. So happy means being touched. The fear of touch is happyphobia. Next is hematophobia. So hematophobia means it is a fear of blood. So it is not fear of blood means sight of blood. It is hematophobia. Then we move on to the hydrophobia. So what is meant by hydrophobia? Hydrophobia means that there is fear of water. So this is also very common. Then is hypnophobia. Hypnosis means you are going to sleep. So it is a fear of sleep. Next is lalophobia. So what is lalophobia or the glossophobia? So lalophobia or the glossophobia. So lalo, you can think of it as a lullaby, and glossophobia. So glosso, it means something to do with the mouth. So it is the speaking. Then comes the misophobia. Misophobia. So misophobia refers to the dust. So you can refer to misophobia. So you can talk about mycosis. That is, it talks about the germs or the fungi. So you can relate it to the dirt or contamination. Next is necrophobia. We know what is necrophobia, necrosis. That is, it deals with the dead bodies. So necrophobia, it deals with the dead bodies. And next is nyctophobia. Nyctophobia, it in short, it can also refer to the night. So night means it is the darkness or the night. Next is panophobia. So panophobia, it refers to everything. Panphobia. Pan means you have something known as pan India, that is applicable everywhere. So it is everything, fear of everything. Then is pathophobia or the nosophobia. So pathophobia. Patho means you know the pathogenesis of almost all diseases. So pathophobia or the nosophobia. Nosophobia is where you have to say a no. So this means that pathophobia means your fear of diseases and suffering. So you don't want any suffering, you want it to be easy. So it is nosophobia means fear of suffering. Next is we look at the peccatophobia. Peccatophobia. So peccatophobia means it is a sinning, fear of sinning. So imagine you sin and you are being pecked by a bird. So it will be peccophobia. Then there is pedophobia. Pedophobia, we know what is pedo. So pedo means it is associated with the children. Next is phonophobia. Phonophobia means speaking aloud. Phone is where you talk. So you speak loudly. So it is speaking aloud. So you have fear of the speaking aloud. Next is photophobia. Photo, as we know, it is a strong light. Photo means photosensitive. So what do you mean by photosensitive? We are talking about light. So it is indicative of the strong light. Then we move on to the sitophobia. So what is sitophobia? So imagine you are just sitting on a chair and eating. So it is sitophobia, is a fear of eating. So how do you eat? You always, majority of us, we sit and eat. Then comes the taphophobia. So the taphophobia is mean buried alive. tapophobia. So imagine being buried alive in a tap-shaped coffin. So it is a tapophobia, being buried alive. Next is we move on to the thanophobia. Thanophobia. So thanophobia, you can relate it to Thanos, and it refers to the fear of death. Next comes toxophobia. So toxophobia is we are dealing with toxins, so it is a poisons, fear of poisons. Then comes xenophobia. Xenophobia is basically the strangers. So you can tell XYZ. So XYZ person. So it is nothing but it deals with the strangers. Then we move on to the last one, that is a zoophobia. So zoophobia, we know it is something to do with animals. It is a fear of the animals. To learn and grow daily like this, please do subscribe.